Welcome to Screen Hollywood, the home of movie news and entertainment. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.
Burn it all down,
Welcome back to Screen Hollywood. I'm Adam. If you're new here, welcome to the Hollywood family. Hit the like, subscribe, notification bell, and hype button. Also, bookmark and subscribe to our news site at screenhollywood.com. And today, we need to talk about a different kind of horror story. One that isn't happening on a movie screen, but in the boardroom of Spyglass Media Group. We've seen some massive industry shifts lately, but the rot has officially reached the town of Woodsboro, and the fallout is looking incredibly messy. We are looking at a franchise that was at its absolute peak only a couple of years ago, and now it's facing a potential collapse. According to the latest industry tracking, Scream 7 is currently eyeing a $30 million opening weekend. Now, for many films, $30 million is a solid start, but for the Scream franchise, that number is a massive red flag. To put it into perspective, this is a steep, painful decline from the $44.4 million opening of Scream 6. We are seeing a massive rejection from the audience, and today, I'm going to break down why this is happening. We're going to talk about the Core 4 crisis, the marketing shambles that Paramount is currently trying to fix with a massive Super Bowl gamble, and a huge reveal I noticed in the trailer that changes everything, including the return of a legendary killer from the original 1996 film. Let's dive into the $30 million panic. Let's look at the data first, because the numbers tell the real story of studio mismanagement. Scream 6 was a genuine phenomenon. It brought the franchise back to the forefront of pop culture, largely thanks to the Core 4, Melissa Barrera, Jenna Ortega, Jasmine Savoy Brown, and Mason Gooding. It had the biggest opening in the entire history of the franchise. It felt like Scream was the one legacy property that actually knew how to pass the torch. But then, the wheels fell off. Due to a series of high-profile controversies, firings, and exits, that Core 4 dynamic is gone. And the projected $30 million opening for Scream 7 tells us that the audience has absolutely noticed. A $14 million drop in opening weekend interest isn't just a dip, it's a full-scale retreat. It suggests that a significant portion of the fan base that showed up for the modern reboot has checked out. Hollywood has this arrogant belief that the brand is bigger than the actors, but as we are seeing here, if you alienate the people who actually make the audience care, the brand becomes a hollow shell. Spyglass had a gold mine, and they effectively dynamited the entrance. We have to talk about the elephant in the room, Jenna Ortega. You cannot deny that Jenna Ortega is one of the biggest stars in the world right now. Between Wednesday and her recent blockbusters, she is a certified box office magnet. When Spyglass fired Melissa Barrera and subsequently lost Jenna Ortega, they didn't just lose two actors, they lost the entire engine of the new franchise. They lost the Gen Z audience that Ortega brought with her. Some critics are calling this the ultimate self-inflicted wound. Spyglass had the momentum, and they blew it up. Now they're scrambling to fix it by pivoting back to the past. They are panicking and reaching for nostalgia bait because they realize they've destroyed the future they were building. It's a pattern we see far too often. Studios get bogged down in internal politics, they lose their star power, and then they act shocked when the box office numbers start to crater. And as we all know, if you go woke, or in this case, get tangled in the political firing of your lead star, you often go broke. The audience doesn't like drama behind the scenes, they like the drama on the screen. Now, let's talk about the trailer. I've watched it several times now, and while the studio is trying to play it coy, I am 90% sure that the iconic killer Stu Macher from the original 1996 film is most certainly coming back. I noticed one scene in particular where the killer speaks, and the voice, even through the Ghostface modulator, closely resembled Matthew Lillard. I've heard that voice enough to know the cadence, but it's not just the voice. In the trailer, the killer makes it very clear that he is from Sidney's past, and, more importantly, he's been hiding. Now, every Scream fan remembers the end of the original movie. Stu appears to die when Sidney drops a massive TV set on his head. For years, fans have theorized that he actually survived that the TV didn't finish him off, and he's been in prison or in hiding ever since. It looks like Kevin Williamson is finally pulling the trigger on that fan theory. Now, don't get me wrong, from a nostalgia perspective, this is really cool. Seeing Sidney Prescott face off against the man who helped start the nightmare 30 years ago is a massive hook. But I have to be honest with you guys. I can't help but feel it's a bit poor to basically know who the killer is before the movie is even released. In every previous Scream film, the whodunit aspect has been the main mystery. It was a complete puzzle until the final act. If the trailer is already dropping massive clues that it's Stu, the mystery is gone. It feels like they are so desperate to get people into seats that they are willing to spoil their biggest surprise just to drum up interest. Despite my issues with the Stu reveal, I have to admit that the trailer itself looks excellent. Visually, it's a massive step up. It has that classic Scream tension, the slow builds, the clever use of reflections, and those signature jump scares that actually work. The scenes look very well thought out, and it feels like Kevin Williamson, who is back to direct, is leaning into the suspense that made the 1996 original a masterpiece. The kills look creative too. We've seen some snippets of Ghostface using the environment in ways we haven't seen before. If the movie can maintain the energy of this trailer, it's going to be a technical success. But as I always say, a good trailer doesn't always mean a good box office. You can have the best looking kills in the world, but if the audience is boycotting or simply doesn't care about the remaining characters, those jump scares are going to be happening in a very empty theater. This brings me to the marketing, which has been, frankly, shambolic. For a movie of this size, there has been barely anything on social media or the general internet. The digital footprint for Scream 7 is surprisingly small. There's no buzz, no viral campaigns, and no organic engagement. This lack of visibility is exactly why those $30 million projections are so low. The Screen Hollywood team did some digging, and we have had confirmation that Paramount has invested $10 million into a single 30-second Super Bowl advert. Think about that for a second. $10 million for 30 seconds of airtime. This decision alone is going to heavily impact the overall marketing budget. In my opinion, this was not a wise decision. Taking a huge chunk of your budget and blowing it on one TV spot while ignoring the day-to-day engagement on TikTok, X, and Instagram is an old-school marketing tactic that just doesn't work for horror anymore. Horror lives and breathes on social media. It thrives on the conversation. By staying quiet on the internet and banking everything on a Super Bowl ad, Paramount is playing a very dangerous game. They are betting the house on a 30-second clip to reverse months of negative PR and silence. Of course, the big marketing hook they do have is the return of Neve Campbell as Sidney Prescott. After the studio lowballed her for Scream 6, they've clearly backed up the Brinks truck to get her back for Scream 7. I love Neve Campbell. Sidney is the GOAT of horror protagonists. But again, is it enough? The $30 million projection suggests that while the legacy fans are happy, the new generation of fans, the ones who were there for Jenna Ortega, have checked out. By losing the new cast, Spyglass has essentially halved their potential audience. Bringing back Neve Campbell and potentially Matthew Lillard as Stu is a Hail Mary pass. It's a desperate attempt to use nostalgia to cover up a catastrophic management failure. It's an apology tour disguised as a slasher flick. They are hoping that the sight of Sidney Prescott holding a gun again will make us forget that they fired the lead of their last two successful movies over a social media post. So, what is my take on all of this? When I see a $30 million projection for a Scream movie in 2026, I see a franchise that is in survival mode. The mistake they made was believing that the Ghostface mask was the only thing that mattered. They thought the actors were interchangeable parts in a machine. But the audience knows when they are being sold a pale imitation. They know when a studio is panicking. The high view count on a trailer, much like I said about the Avengers teasers, doesn't always translate to ticket sales. People are nosy. They want to see how Matthew Lillard looks. They want to see if the Stu lives theory is real. But dragging those same people to watch the movie in theaters is a completely different animal. They are going to have to bring real substance and depth to the table to truly get the masses to return. You can't just dangle a 30-year-old character in front of us and expect us to ignore the behind-the-scenes shambles. The pressure is on for Scream 7 to produce the goods. not just for the fans, but for the studio's financial expectations. If this movie fails to clear its hurdles, it could be the end of the Woodsboro saga for a very long time. Mismanagement has a high price, and $30 million might just be the first installment. The lesson here is simple. Hollywood needs to stop underestimating its audience. You can't burn down your house and then expect everyone to show up for the housewarming party just because you put a new coat of paint on the front door. The projected decline for Scream 7 is the result of corporate ego over creative momentum. The trailer looks great, and the Stu reveal is exciting on paper, but the vibe is tainted. But I want to hear from you. Are you going to see Scream 7 to see Sidney and Stu face off? Or did the loss of Melissa Barrera and Jenna Ortega kill the franchise for you? Do you think a $10 million Super Bowl ad is a smart move or a waste of money? Drop a comment down below and let's get the debate started. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the $30 million panic, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to Screen Hollywood for more first-person reviews and the truth behind the industry. I'm Adam, and I'll see you in the next one.